welcome to our first public lecture in 2025. And it's our first time of meeting after our 2025 professional year opening. It's been all online, WhatsApp messages up and down. I hope we are all doing well this afternoon. Public lecture basically had been instituted by the National Executive Council as a way that we members can also contribute towards issues surrounding our professional growth. And you could see those of us who have been part of this initiative for quite some time, you could see every year there's a team that will select as an institute, and based on that team, we begin to engage members and non-members on the team. This year, we are doing digital leadership, and all our program or activities are basically on that same line, digital leadership. But today, we have the honor of having two distinguished personalities in our midst. They've always been there for the institute whenever we need them to speak to us on
they have to
issues. We have our host now. So I would give our host the chance to continue with. So let's welcome our 2024 Personality of the Year. She's in the person of Madam Rejoice Mawena Dachumo to take over. Madam Dachumo. Madam Dachumo, can you hear me? Dr. Zechi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Find out if the people are.
So far, check how many people.
They are here, participants.
Okay, I think we are good to go now. We can start the program now. So, Madam Rejoice, can you hear me? Madam Rejoice, can you hear me? You will need to check your output, your speakers. You need to check your speakers. Okay, so we start today's program by way of introduction. As I've started, we'll be doing digital leadership, and digital leadership is our theme for the year. But we would have to, I would like to introduce the Vice Chairperson for Professional Conduct and Ethics Committee. He is in the person of Mr. Sumaila Awuntaba Abdu, and also the regional coordinating Director for Northern region. Sir, you are welcome. Okay, so we would continue to start with the first facilitator. We'll start with the first facilitator. And this afternoon's theme is on driving organizational transformation and decision making in the digital era. Driving organizational transformation and decision making in the digital era. Just a minute, please. In the digital era, and to do as the honors to do the first presentation. In fact, the first presentation will be on the role of digital leadership in organizational transformation.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Please, can we start?
Good evening, sure.
So, Eric, please, if you are with us, kindly get in touch with Madame Lachumo because she can't hear us. So, to do as the honors to do the first presentation is in the person of Dr. Victor Abbey. Dr. Victor Abbey is a corporate leader, security strategy, and leadership consultant. He is a mentor and author with an in-depth knowledge, understanding, experience in diverse corporate operational environments and perspectives, including supply chain, manufacturing, oil and gas industry, spanning over 22 years. He's a distinguished veteran military leader, chief servant and managing partner of V5 Solutions and FV Global Consult, respectively. He is a fellow of this institute, FCILG. He's a member of Institute of Directors Ghana, and also the host of Leadership 360 program on Metro TV. He is the author of the book VOCA, that's the World and the Future of Corporate Strategy and Leadership, published and launched in 2021 and described by many corporate leaders as the masterpiece and critical strategy book toolkit. He has a doctorate degree in business administration and master's degree in applied business research from SPS Swiss Business School, Swaziland, an executive MBA from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, a bachelor's of arts degree in archaeology and philosophy from University of Ghana, certificates in project management from GEMPA, leadership and crisis management from Geneva Center for Security Policy, GSSP. And he also is a certified trainer of trainers and a specialist in occupational safety and health management. Certificate in cross-cultural negotiation in trade and finance, United Institute of Training and Research, Geneva, Swaziland. Dr. Abbey, this afternoon we are happy to have you take the first team, the first topic on the role of digital leadership in organizational transformation.
All right, thank you, Country Director, Dr. Adams. It's a great pleasure to be here, and good evening to all of us, distinguished participants here. For purposes of network stability, I may be taking off my video on and off because I just noticed the network is not strong enough. So please bear with me when I go off. Just understand that we have connectivity issues. Indeed, that's why we are doing this. digital transformation or digital leadership for organizational transformation so that we can get on track very well. Indeed, this is a great honor for me to be one of the speakers for this public lecture. I must say it's indeed humbling for me to be the one. Without much ado, let me quickly share my slides, then we can proceed from there. All right. Is my screen visible to everyone, please? Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is my humble self on your screen as well. It's Ghana month. So I wish every Ghanaian on this call a happy Ghana month. And as we celebrate the Independence Month, it is my prayer and hope that we all contribute meaningfully to the development of our country. On that score, let me quickly say, most of us may be familiar with this gazelle and lion story. Come each new day, somewhere on the globe, in the jungle somewhere, a gazelle wakes up knowing very well that it must outrun the fastest lion or perish. Same way, a lion wakes up knowing very well that if it does not outrun the fastest gazelle, it will starve to death. This phenomenon is applicable to each and every one of us, whether we are at the individual level, company level, organizational level, or country level, or national level, even globally. The space we find ourselves requires that we keep pace with changing times. Some global events over the past few decades have informed the turbulence within the space we operate in. Events such as the 2008 financial crisis, COVID-19 pandemic, the rapidity in the technological advancement as we see today, and the most recent one, which is still with us, the Ukraine conflict, is events that are dramatically changing or have changed the corporate and the business environment over the past few decades. And what this means is that it has brought in its wake AI-powered Internet of Things. Smartphones are in vogue. Very vibrant social media platforms. All these are contributing to some turbulence and unpredictability. Something breaks out today, it is available everywhere. All organizational leaders in the midst of all this are required to transform their organizations to match up with the changing times. And that transformation in the face of all these can only take place through digital leadership in order to thrive. Without this, it is my fervent belief that most organizations will become extinct in no time. And that is what has made the digital leadership non-negotiable in transforming organizations. Remember, I said the Internet of Things are the critical issues that we are dealing with. So the objective or the focus of my presentation this evening is going to border on mirroring the current environment, operational environment we find ourselves in, with a view to, highlighting the tenets of digital leadership in organizational transformation. And then it will set the stage for us to share knowledge so that we all see how we can better our leadership skills in our various organizations, as well as transform our organizations for the better and for us to thrive. To do so, the focus will be on the current global, I'll give a background to the current global operational environment. We'll give a contextual meaning to what we mean by digital leadership and move on to organizational transformation and the role that digital leadership plays in organizational transformation. Then I'll give some few points as call to action for all of us, so that as we leave this engagement session. We have some things to ponder on. We have some things to, apply to our various organizations. Now, quickly to the background, to the kind of environment we find ourselves in today. As indicated earlier, certain events have changed the landscape that businesses and organizations operate. We all, for about 3 decades, we have found ourselves in the world called VUCA, which is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity surrounded all of us. Some people describe it as tuna, others captured it as bunny. They are all speaking to the fact that there is so much turbulence, there's so much complexity, there's so much ambiguity around the events that are shaping or determining the fate of most organizations. For now, we have moved from that phase of VUCA, tuna, and bunny to what is now called plaques. It is plaques because the rate of change, the rapidity of change has become so fast that a continuous exponential change is occurring around us every day. Every day we wake up to new things and we are all wondering what is going on. So scholars across the globe, especially within the digital space landscape, have defined it as fast, liquid, and experimental. Please kindly mute your mic for me, please. Christian Pra, your mic is on. Okay, thank you. So in this kind of environment, you realize that flexibility is the order of the day. Boundaryless systems are what we are applying or we are witnessing, which requires some competences. They are uncharted because they are unknown terrains. There's nothing like a book or, if you like, a benchmark to measure what is happening or to compare and see what can be done. It requires continuous strategic foresight to be able to overcome. Experimental because day in, day out, new things are being experimented over and over again. If you take the space today, a lot of exploration is going on with regards to how customer experience can be improved in no time, how product delivery can be, expedited, how you can sit anywhere, and whether banking, manufacturing, whatever, everything is being, so every day new things are coming out. So that is the kind of world we find ourselves in. One leadership expert, Jacob Morgan, also predicted that by 2030, we're going to have some 6 trends, or these 6 trends are going to inform the outcome or the state we'll find ourselves in 2030. Artificial intelligence, as we see, is on the rise, and the pace of change itself is becoming faster than we can imagine. New talents are emerging. Tech savviness is on the rise. Workers in organizations are becoming younger because the older generations are fading out. Morality, ethics, and transparency issues are high on the priority list of most governments and most citizens across the globe. Purpose and meaning is becoming a trend, and globalization as usual, as we all know. These are issues that have been predicted or have been researched and found to be shaping the future of leadership. And as such, what it means is that if you are a leader within, or as leaders within our various organizations, we need to be abreast with the trends and match up to those, changing events. And hence the need for us to embrace digital leadership. So how do we mean by digital leadership? Let's give some contextual meaning so that we all be on the same page before I proceed. When we talk about digital leadership, in fact, it is a key requirement, a strategic requirement in the flux environment that we find ourselves in, the fast, liquid environment that we find ourselves in. It's about leveraging digital technology to drive organizational success. If you want to transform your operations, a leader, any leader who hopes to transform operations, you have no option. I mentioned earlier, it's non-negotiable. It is what is required of every leader to leverage on available digital technologies, current trending technology to change the fate of your organization. Digital leadership also entails the integration of digital strategies into all our undertakings as leaders. It's also about leveraging technology to drive innovations and efficiency, operational efficiency, so as to enable us navigate the flex landscape. With this background as the meaning and what really we talk about, let us not also forget, let me be quick to mention that when we talk about digital leadership, it is not limited to tech industry. In my intro, I mentioned that across the globe, every facet of the economy or of the global economy is experiencing some change or the other. So it doesn't matter whether you are in the tech space or you're in the manufacturing space or you're in the agri space. This digital leadership is applicable to, it's a universal concept and it's applicable to all industries. It is now being seen as the differentiator between thriving and merely surviving. You cannot just survive, you need to thrive. And that is what is very important for all of us to bear in mind as leaders. There are basic principles that underpin the digital leadership concept. It has to do with analytical data informing decision making and dexterity, as in our own flexibility to embrace new trends, and creativity, genuinity, and how can we harness the innovation or the creativity of our staff, our workers, our employees. And the digital leadership requires also that you build an ecosystem whereby everybody within the organization is able to contribute meaningfully to the process of transforming your organization. Now, another area where a group, by those principles, we're talking about a leader having a foresight. Remember, I mentioned you must be a visionary thinker. You must look beyond the present. You must be flexible in your thinking. It's a principle. You cannot be a digital leader if you are fixated on just one product in transforming your organization or in prosecuting the digital agenda within your organization. Innovation is key, data-driven decision-making, customer-centric, because the focus is how can you use digitization or digital technology, leverage it to satisfy your customers? How can you collaborate across? How can you open your mind up to continuous learning? Because new trends are informing the space every day. And there are two aspects when it comes to digital leadership: the character and the competency. As you see on the screen, digital leaders are required to have integrity, must have good intent, their motives must be clear, and the agenda must be, must promote morality, ethics, as I mentioned earlier. Honesty, humility, and courage are all character traits of digital leaders. When it comes to competence, we're looking at capability and the results you want to achieve. You must build capacity, and that is what is important as a digital leader. So these principles must underpin every engagement if you want to see yourself as a digital leader and transform your organization. We are talking about all this because we believe that the digital leadership approach to leading and managing transformations within your organization contributes meaningfully to navigating around all the digital transformations happening around us. In order not to be left behind, if you embrace the digital leadership, you're going to have an improvement in your operational efficiency, customer expectations, as I mentioned earlier, and also importance because we all want to remain competitive and adapt to the global trends. They cannot afford to be left behind. Another context so that we can now delve into the role of digital leadership and how it can be applied. meaningfully, or how it is used to transform our various organizations. Organizational transformation here in the context of this presentation is an intentionally planned approach to changing the structure, culture, and processes within an organization. It is strategic in the sense that it seeks to give an adaptation so as to make the company more competitive and meet future goals. It is not the case that your processes that you are used to will remain that way, and without any effort or without any intentionality, you will see changes. So when we talk about organizational transformation, it must be intentional, and intentionality here is targeted at transforming the structure, the culture, and the processes therein. That is what we mean by that. Now, a few examples of organizational transformation initiatives could be from hierarchical structure to more agile, team-based system, and then implementing new digital, technology, transforming operations to sales, merging or acquiring new company. All these will have to, seek to use technology to achieve that. It can also be switching from an on-site, IT infrastructure to cloud-based infrastructure. All these must be intentional, and intentionality is what will bring about transformation. It cannot leave it to, the winds of change. You have to be intentional about it. Now, what is the role of digital leadership in transforming organizations? We have spoken about the fact that the changing times, the rapidity of change is informing technological advancement as well. So how can digital leadership contribute meaningfully? It's about gaining insight, envisioning, and then prototyping and scaling, upscaling, if you like. But let's look critically what it is. The role, generally speaking, has to do with driving initiative or innovations, fostering digital literacy within our organizations so that as people become tech savvy, people become more abreast with the changing times or the global trends, they are able to apply technology to innovate and to bring about transformation. And it's also about adaptability and competitiveness in the digital age. It's also about providing that kind of strategic vision and flexibility, if you like, and focusing on data-driven decision-making. Unlike a few years ago where decisions are made, somebody will say, on the whims and caprices of the leaders within organizations. Today, data is very much needed to make well-informed decisions that will have long-term impact and transformational impact on organizations. So that is the role of digital leadership. And digital leaders have every reason, every requirement to seek the future, to align the organizations to a system that will transform the organization. Digital leader must be the one who builds an ecosystem, must be the innovation accelerator, and must be able to commit to developing talent, changing the culture within the organization, and providing that energy to drive innovation. And customer championship is driven by digital leadership. When you have transformed your organization digitally or leveraging on technology to transform your organization, you are able to, satisfy the needs of customers. Customer experience will be improved, and business is shaped better. It's about providing direction. It's about alignment. It's about commitment. So digital leadership seeks to achieve all this with the changing trends or the current trends. The flux world we find ourselves is so fast, we cannot afford to stay behind. What about providing the strategic vision and digital transformation? It's about anticipating the future. Digital leadership provides a platform based on data, based on monitoring and evaluation to provide, reasons why things need to change, and developing a digital strategy as well. So if you have a digital mindset or leadership mindset, you are more inclined to developing that digital strategy that will transform and drive that digital transformation within your organization. I mentioned earlier data-driven decision making, leveraging data to gain insights, data management and analytics is what the digital leaders provide for transformation within the organization, and data-driven culture. So contributions or innovations are not made just because somebody feels it has to be made. What is the data saying? What is the data speaking to? What is informing the decision? Data must drive the culture, and it is based on the leadership that is provided by the organizational leader. And then fostering innovation requires that a digital leadership cultivate a culture that is innovative and promotes experimentation. It's about accepting, being receptive to new ideas, new ways of doing things. If the traditional leadership where the top management takes all the decision and that is it, it's no longer what is required in the flat environment. We require to promote experimentation, allow people to experiment ideas based on data, available data and justifications, so that we'll be able to transform our organizations. Data literacy is very important. Digital leadership, digital literacy. How many of our people are digitally savvy, changing trends? I always tell group of friends, if you give your phone to your child today, what your child will do with that phone, I bet all of us on this call, most of us will not be able to do a quarter of that. So we need to promote digital literacy within if we want to transform our organizations. Then agility and adaptability, we need to respond to change. It is digital leadership that provides the platform for us to be able to respond effectively to changes around us. It allows flexibility to prevail because leaders become aware of the kind of change that is occurring around them, and prioritizing the speed and efficiency, and also conscious of the cybersecurity related issues, where we prioritize security, staying informed, and building a security culture where everybody is conscious. For example, a digital leader will ensure that everybody get educated on cybersecurity. So people will not leave their passwords. People will not give their passwords to their colleagues to log into their systems and all that. All these are roles that digital leadership, plays. But the digital leader himself must be very much knowledgeable in, digital systems. A digital leader who wants to execute or prosecute the agenda of change within the organization by transforming the organization will definitely face some challenges. And some of these challenges come in the form of resistance to change. Change is a constant thing, but indeed, not all of us in fact, most of us resist change because we are used to the status quo. With new technologies, the fear of the unknown becomes something that will let people resist it. But there are approaches to that. We'll see how we can overcome that. And then because people lack digital literacy, they also feel that the gap will expose them and will not be able to, allow them to perform and get their daily bread. And then some silo units within the systems will operate, disjointed efforts, and also result in challenges where people resist the change that we want to bring as digital leaders. So digital leadership is required to be conscious of some of these challenges. Cultural inertia is also another thing, where the organization is used to one particular way of doing or the process that they've been using for years. And now to change it becomes something else for everybody. The traditional methods seem to be more comfortable to a lot of people. But how can we as digital leaders, or how can digital leadership overcome these challenges? On the technical side, there must be attention to design, developing, and delivering the right, but before that, we need to provide a very good reason for the change. How data-driven reason, why we need to do this. I think the next topic is going to delve more into data-driven decision-making. So just to indicate to us that to provide a reason for change, we need to base it on, an empirical data-informed, research. And by that, we need to indicate what is the current state, how are we transitioning, and how does the future look like? And then we need to consider the people side as well. We need to engage, stakeholder engagement. We need to adopt, the right measures, the right approach that will suit everybody. And then we use that to achieve whatever we want to achieve. And then success will be ours. Another issue is that if you are once you are getting into the digital leadership space, we must agree and accept the fact that there will be complexities that we need to endure or encounter during the process. And there are these metrics that will indicate to us how to manage complex changes. If the vision is clearly spelled out, there must be skill sets available, incentives must be provided, resources and action plans must be spelled out clearly. And in that case, success will be ours. A digital leadership is required to provide all this so that resistance to change will be minimal. In the absence of these 5 key things, we're going to have problems. Where we have the vision, all right, we have the skill sets, we have the incentives, we have the resources, but there's no action plan clearly spelling out what is to be done, by what timelines and all that. We will start on the wrong foot. And with that, we're going to experience frustrations. There will be more resistance, anxiety, and conflict, and definitely will not succeed that. So if you are a digital leadership enthusiast, which we are preaching here today, that we need to understand that there is a non-negotiable significance of digital leadership, then we need to pay attention to managing complex changes with these metrics. In conclusion, I would say that indeed in the flux world or in the flux landscape that we find ourselves, volatility is no longer constant, but it is compounding. So the issues are compounding every day. So it's not just about volatility. And uncertainty is not just about anticipation and being ready, trying to see what will happen next and all that. It's about, it has become embedded in the very fabric of AI-powered decision making. So whether we like it or not, that is the order of the day. And complexity has taken a different dimension altogether, where AI's ability to process data faster is what is, in fact, is an opportunity for digital leadership to embrace. Then ambiguity has also evolved into uncharted territories where traditional frameworks are no longer applicable. So by that, digital leadership has become a key denominator in driving our success in transforming organizations. Strategic decision-making will empower the employees through the quest to push the digital technology and create a culture that is more adaptable and innovative in the space of the technological changes that we see. As I mentioned from beginning, digital leadership is non-negotiable, and we cannot afford to overlook the digital leadership approach. Digital leadership may also be said to mean adopting or leveraging on technology to transform or to prosecute transformational leadership within our organization. A call to action for me, because of time, if you see me rushing a bit, is because of available time. The slides will be available to all of us. The call to action for me is, if there are changes, or once we agree that the change around us is so fast and liquid, and we need to understand that it is affecting everybody, not only leadership within the organization. It requires careful planning, patience, and persistence, and we shall succeed. And to do that, we must understand the change capabilities and maturity levels of our various organizations, and we must align the leadership style accordingly to align with the principles that we spelled out from beginning, where flexibility, innovation, promotion of digital literacy, and all that. And then we engage the stakeholders, we promote digital literacy, redesign our processes, and introduce new technologies, and integrate project management approach into implementing our plans. And by that, we are pretty sure that we shall succeed. And then while we succeed, we sustain the outcomes through continuous learning and improvement. Continuous improvement will always see us through it all. On this note, let us remember that the relevance of every knowledge acquired is in its application. The willingness only becomes relevant when the requisite action is taken. I thank you all, and I hand over to Dr. Adams. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abbey, for such a powerful presentation. Eric, if you are with us, you can take over. Okay, so before we get to our next facilitator for the second presentation, I would like to also introduce some of our distinguished personalities among us. We also have Reverend Dr. Francis Sarkodie, who is also the chair of the Professional Conduct and Ethics Committee, also in our midst. We have our distinguished fellow, Nana Efia, Professor Nana Efia Opoku Asari, also within our midst. Please, as we go on, I'll keep also introducing our guests who are also among us, and also some other members as well. So I would like to also introduce Dr. Daniel Kwegu Hazel, who happens to be the chair of this occasion, this training. Dr. Hazel is the chair. So we want to give Dr. Hazel some time to also give us his remarks before we come to the second presentation. He is a consultant from African Institute of Management Science. Kindly let's welcome Dr. Hazel.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. Much appreciated. Sorry, I had to be late because I was in another meeting. I just finished and I had to rush. So I got the tail end of Dr. Abbey's presentation. The little I got, very powerful, very insightful. Let me say that the institution has done very well in choosing this particular topic. The way our environment, especially in the tech space, is changing rapidly, we can't sit back and look aloof without getting much knowledge in the digital space. And so I think the topic is very apt and very relevant for the times that we live in. I'd like to just sit back, let's listen to Dr. Takyi, and then after that, I'll be able to put my thoughts together because I just joined. But thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel Kwegu Hazel, for your remarks. Before we introduce the second facilitator, please note you can jot down all your points for Dr. Abbey. After the presentation from the second facilitator, you would also be given the chance to ask questions from both presenters for question and answers for the first presentation and the second presentation. First presentation and second presentation. If you have any questions, kindly raise up your hands with any of the emojis so we could get you ask your question. Any question, kindly raise up your hands. I already have questions that have been sent to me. Okay. Dr. Daniel Hazel. Dr. Hazel, kindly ask your question, sir.
Okay, so my question goes to Dr. Takyi. Doc, thank you very much for the insightful presentation and the examples you've given to support your presentation. My question is, when we look at most of our traditional organizations, how do we deal with the knowledge gap? And here I'm referring to the gap in IT, AI, big data knowledge. We have experienced workforce that are very experienced in the traditional ways of doing things. But when we are looking at the new paradigm, and we are saying that data-driven decision-making is the way to go. So how do we bring the old labor force to speed with the current trend? And here I'm looking at timelines, because when are we going to get them to this level so that we can move our organization in this new paradigm shift? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So another question. So Dr. Takyi, kindly note that one. We'll take another question. So, okay. Okay, so then this question also to Dr. Takyi, in addition to what Dr. Daniel Hazel asked, why is data literacy important for digital leaders and their teams in the area of local government service? In the area of local government service, why is data literacy important for leaders and their teams? So you can continue answering the question.
And so the second question I didn't get, but the first, can you repeat the second question?
The second question is, why is data literacy important for leaders and their teams? And in answering this question, I want you to take in the context of local government service.
Yeah, I mean, let me take the first one. The first question was about, and thank you for the question, Doc. The first question was about how do we bring on board the traditionalists in this area and the time frame we will need to make sure that we're able to catch up. They're able to catch up. I don't know if that's what you meant.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you.
Right. I think so. Basically, there has to be some form of awareness that needs to be created, and this is one of the efforts Chartered Institute of Leadership Governance is trying to do. But beyond that, everybody here works somewhere, somehow, and some of us are privileged to be frontline personnel, could be managers, and even heading institutions, wherever we find ourselves. I think these are subjects we have to bring on board at our board meetings, if it does not exist, already. Because before we start all of these things, like I mentioned, the vision, this has to be inculcated in the vision of the organization. It has to be part of the strategy of the organization. Without that, we will not be able to be consistent in getting it implemented. So once it gets inculcated or imbibed in the vision or the strategy of the organization, then we are one step legged into the door. And what that helps us to do is that it gives us the opportunity to now look for ways. It could be through facilitations. We could get consultants to come in to help us to do some of these things. But one thing that I would like to also mention is that some of these organizations downplay the importance of risk management. So that's where we talk about the chief risk officer's role. A lot of these organizations don't even have that. They think it just has to do with financial institutions. Part of the responsibilities of the CRO has to do with these things, And so we need to bring on board people that are equipped, that have the capability to be able to do this once the vision has been created. And once we're able to get those people on board, we begin the process. And it's going to be patient. We have to customize this. Not everybody is comfortable with computing and all of that, but we have to customize it and we have to make it very practical, as much as possible to make it that exciting. So that's what I would say with that in that regard. Then the second question, Dr. Adams, you were referring to public sector?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I missed the details. So the concern about public sector was what?
Why is data literacy? Why should they be so much a concern to them when it comes to data literacy?
Okay. So like I said, and Dr. Haza, I hope I answered your question. To move on to this, like I said, this is the future. This is where we are going with activities in the world. I've cited a lot of examples here to show to us that even governments in Rwanda, in Kenya, and so on and so forth, and now Ghana wants to also bring on board this 24-hour economy, for example, the decision to form the framework, the parameters, will be based on data. And so basically what I'm saying is that becoming literate in this is no more optional. It becomes something that becomes urgent and very important, very essential for every sector, including the public sector. And so there has to be that intention. And all of these things, like I said, it has to be intentional. There has to be that leadership intention to make sure that this approach is actually being drilled down, cascaded down to all the units, that are in this picture. So yes, that's what I would say to that. But there are consultants that can help, in this approach to make sure that we ease sometimes people panic when we talk about data and all of that. Some people panic, but there are consultants that can bring this up and make sure that it becomes down to earth and easy to apply.
Okay, sir. So any practical steps to help leaders improve on their data literacy to improve on data literacy in the organizations?
Yeah, so the final part of my presentation was trying to address that. And it's still the same issue I mentioned about, how do you call it? For example, the Banco Solidario example that I cited, where I talked about the fact that there has to be, and I keep saying, this has to be part of the vision. They have to invest in modern data infrastructure. Once it is part of the vision, you have a budget that is assigned to making sure that there is investment in modern data infrastructure. If it's not there, it's difficult to get that budget. And then we work on the data literacy training across levels. This, you can have a recruited person who will come as an insider to help do this, or you can outsource, this activity. You can also make sure that by so doing, you are ensuring there's that culture of experimentation. Now, this is one thing I'd like to mention. In budgeting, when organizations are forming their budgets, they should make room for innovation. If you want to introduce this aspect of our transformation, we have to make room for innovation. Now, innovation will make room for losses, some possible losses. All right. If we don't do that and we make it uptight, it will be difficult for people to comfortably welcome this kind of approach because they'll be afraid to make mistakes, to err, and all of that. They'll go back to their traditional ways of doing things. But once it is part of the strategy, you make it part of your budget, make it part of your plan, and you are making room for innovation. And there's a robust data governance and security measure in place. And then you have measures to regular check and refine, whatever you are doing, making sure that it is in line with what the vision dictates. So that's what I'll say.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the answer. And from Winnie, Winnie says, additionally, it will support effective decision making, policy design, and increase impact of public sector agencies. Okay, so this set of questions also goes to Dr. Victor Abbey. Dr. Victor Abbey. And this question goes like, how can digital leaders drive organizational, or how can leaders drive organizational agility and innovation in this rapid phase of technological change? How can digital leaders drive organization with agility and innovation and this rapid change?
All right, thank you, Doc. And thanks to the one who asked the question as well. As I indicated earlier, driving the digital leadership within the space we find ourselves, I said, is very important because the advancement in technology, you cannot afford to be left behind. You cannot. It's non-negotiable. And how we can do that, as I indicated and Dr. Takyi also indicated, is about promoting digital literacy across board. Even oneself need to be digitally literate, especially with the trending technologies that are coming. We have a vibrant landscape full of all manner of softwares, all manner of technological, platforms, and one needs to be literate in order to promote that literacy within the organization as well. If you have also within the organization where you are privileged to have, or you are honored to have younger people who are savvy at technology, that's an advantage. You can equally resort to or harness their talent to promote, digital leadership within the organization by placing them at the disposal of others who are not digitally literate so that they can help promote the literacy within the organization. Now, processes and systems also need to be altered as against the traditional approaches. I indicated in the call to action that we need to examine or take a second look at the systems in place within our organizations and design the appropriate systems or technological platforms that will, promote operational efficiency and all that. So it's about examining your current situation, how you transition, where you want to go, the future state, and then how you transition to that state as well. So when you determine where you are going, the strategic vision, the digital strategy, you will clearly identify
Hello, Dr. Abbey. Hello, Dr. Abbey.
Was I audible, please?
Your last part, we didn't hear the last part.
Okay. Okay. Again, that is the challenge we have in our part of the world. I pray that one day we'll have a very stable internet connectivity. It's always a challenge. Everybody breaks. But I was saying that if we have younger generation within our workspaces who are, by and large, more, well equipped when it comes to use of technology, or they are savvy at technology, we should use them. We should place their expertise at the disposal of the older folks who will be taught, digital literacy, so that they will be able to use new trends that are coming up, and then by so doing, we'll be able to transform our organizations. That's what I was trying to say.
This next question, in fact, as an institute, we even have some of these challenges. It had to do with how leaders balance the risk of cybersecurity with or to digital transformation. We've had members who will tell us, Doc, I don't want to be on our WhatsApp platform because of this threat of people sending me links to click on, sending me this and that. I've had this, so I don't want to be on this WhatsApp platform. If you have any information, kindly call me or send me an email. So we have a couple of these issues happening. So, Dr. Abbey, what strategies can leaders adapt to balance this issue of cybersecurity risk with the need for digital transformation?
All right, thank you once again. You know, cybersecurity awareness it's just like personal security awareness. You have to be intentional about it. You have to take interest in being aware of the risk associated with all the technological platforms that you use. I say so because security, regardless whether it is cyber security or physical security, is a personal responsibility. So one must show interest in whatever platform you want to use, whatever landscape or whatever system you want to use, you must get to understand what are the risks associated with that platform and what are the controls, in place. Then you get to implement those controls. But where we are going, you cannot say because there is risk associated with those or cybersecurity risk associated with the platform, so you cannot. You'll be left behind. So personal responsibility in ensuring that you become aware of the various cybersecurity threats associated with various platforms or softwares or what have you is the way forward for anybody who is apprehensive with regards to cyber security related issues. So I take it that personal responsibility is key. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Abbey, would like to take
your... Sorry to add that a situation where some people will give their phones to others, for just an example, phones to others to set it up for them. By so doing, you end up, exposing yourself more to the very risk that you were trying to prevent. I have this example where somebody was using the mobile banking app and gave it to another person to set it up. When the OTP came, he gave the OTP to the person, and so by the time the whole thing was set up, the guy has everything that he needs to break into the app. And so this same person was robbed of his money, and later when the investigation was conducted, it came out that the very young man who did the setup for him was the one who perpetuated that. So personal responsibility is very key. And sometimes to leaders, we feel we are too busy, and some people even hand over their email accounts to their PAs and to their whoever to access. All these things, I think, is a personal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abbey. But Dr. Abbey, can you give us your final comments before we get to Dr. Philip Takyi? Your final comments.
All right. My final comment is that thanks to FCILG for this opportunity to share knowledge and to learn. We continuously say that the space requires all of us to be continuously learning and appreciate what is trending and apply it to our various spaces. I am honored to be part of this presentation, and Dr. Takyi as well. Great insights. He is more of a technical person, and I must say I have learned a great deal from him as well, especially with regards to the data-driven decision making. That is the way to go. And all of us, I thank all the distinguished participants, audience out there, Dr. Adams, the country, your very self, country director for FCILG, and may God bless us all. And once again, happy Independence Month to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Abbey. So, Dr. Takyi, before you also give us your final comment, I would also want you to still touch on that issue again. We could see even in our WhatsApp group, there are times you will be there and members are sending us screenshots of people who have been able to get their contacts, sending them notes and those things. And it creates a whole lot. At times we've not even organized trainings, but they've received links for them to join some other training here and there and the rest. If you can touch on that one again before you also give us your final comment.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Adams. It's a reality. It's a real problem. And I can associate with that. What I'll say to that is that one of the observations I've made is the fact that most of us drop IT items with the IT guys. Once I am not an IT person, I don't want to know anything about IT. And so even changing passwords as basic as that and all of that, we think it is a specialized activity, and we need someone who is a nerd in that area to help us. My point there is no, it is not. It's the same way we have economics, the same thing we have with finance, there are some basics that applies to everybody. And so what I would say is that thankfully, there's a lot of information online. Self-awareness. You can go online and create that self-awareness. I'll say that if FCILG does not do this on our own, we should be able to go online and check ways of getting things done. And it happens to a lot of the managers, the leaders in organizations. A lot of them are not savvy. They are not comfortable with computers and how to use them and all of that. So they have, like you said, my colleague said, they have their assistants work on some of these things. And sometimes their private information is being handled by some of these people. It is that fear we have to face and get rid of, and go online and search and know that we have the capability to know and be able to implement ourselves the things that we are talking about. So I'll just say that we have to take the responsibilities ourselves, go online and check for information on how to deal with some of these things. If you have a friend who is knowledgeable in this, talk to that friend as well. But we have to initiate it ourselves and take that road. Let's not be afraid. And let's not shift the responsibility only to the IT people. It's not. So in wrapping up, I would say that it's important to emphasize that intuition and experience will still be valuable, but it will be complemented and dominantly validated by data-driven insights, as we have learned. For decision-making accuracy. I must say a very big thank you, same as my brother has indicated, to Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance under your leadership, Dr. Adams, and the team for putting all of this together. And a special thanks to all of you on this platform. Without you, this thing wouldn't have been a success, So I'll just say that let's turn all of this into data. Let's turn this data into action. Okay, and make some magic happen in our industries. A big thank you to all of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Before we invite the chairperson to give us the closing remarks again, I would want to take some few minutes of our time to give this announcement. We've already spent some time. I want to take a few minutes of our time to give this announcement. Dr. Takyi, kindly please off your, so we could share. Yes, thank you. Not the camera, but the PowerPoint.
It's okay now?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I hope my camera, I hope it's visible now. My screen is visible now.
Yes, it's visible. It's visible.
Okay, sir. Okay, so a quick introduction of our institute for those of us joining for the first time. This is the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance, the Ghana chapter. We have the registration number in Ghana here is 108. Registered with the Registrar General's Department. The vision is to be a national and international reference for committed and sincere leaders. And basically, our mission is to train and certify our members. So we could see on the yearly basis, there are a series of trainings that we organize. Those we do for the public, which we call the public lecture, and those we do for members and other events as well. Now, these are membership grades. We have the affiliate grade, we have the associate grade, the full member, the fellow member, the honorary fellow, and the distinguished fellow. They are all parts of the grades that we have within the professional body. And we have a number of committees that also assist in running the professional body. We have the Professional Conduct and Ethics Committee, the Editorial Committee, the Welfare Committee, Training and Development Committee, and also the Legal and Compliance Committee. Becoming a member, you would also benefit through the various networking we have. Also you get our professional recognition as well. Then, the leadership opportunities, discounted conferences, and eligibility for awards are some of the things that you get when you become members of the institute. There are other chartered programs that are available for members and non-members to also undertake, and we have it in the area of leadership consultancy, education leadership. We have the strategic auditing. We have project leadership and management, political leadership, facility leadership and management. Duration is between 4 to 11 months. We have the in-person one and the online one as well. Now, the big announcement. Our MCPE comes on in Kumasi. Our MCPE comes on in Kumasi, and it's in the it's from 25th to 26th of April, 2025. We'll be having it at True Vine Hotel. And this time we are considering both training and tourism. So the first day, which is the 25th, will be a full day training. The 26th will be a half day training, and we'll do tour as part of it. Registration is open, and members can register. We have 1,300 for members, and non-members 1,500. We've already made this announcement. Members who initially made payment for their renewals, that they were not supposed to make those payments, we've spoken to them, and the money have also been used to offset part of the fees as well. In fact, in coming for this conference, having a personal computer is a must. We've had a very nice online lecture from Dr. Takyi, Dr. Abbey. We want to look at the practical aspect of this. So we want to request that members coming for the training should come with their personal computers. There's a lot to be learned during that time. It's going to be a practical session throughout. In fact, if you are coming, we would also encourage you to come with your IT officer or whoever is also in charge of IT. But please, you don't come with a person with the view that the person is going to learn the practical aspects of it, so that when you go to the office, the person will take you through. No, you are coming with him so that what you are also going to study, the person will also be taken through that same thing. So in case you are in the office, you will know how to handle these issues. And it comes on the 25th to the 26th of April 2025. This is a non-residential conference. So meaning when you, after your 1,003 or your 1,005, if you are not in Kumasi, we'll recommend some hotels for you that you can get. But if you are in Kumasi, we are good to go. You can come for the training. If you have any other question, clarification, any other thing, kindly, you can visit www.CILGghana.org. You have a number of resources there to explain that. You can also send an email to us at office@CILGghana.org or call us on 0248 5999 59 0248 5999 59. So thank you for joining this session. And at this point in time, I'll give the floor over to Dr. Daniel Kweku-Hazel to give us his closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adams. So, ladies and gentlemen and honorable members, we have come to the close of this insightful and engaging lecture. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you all for your time, attention, and I was going to say active participation, but today your questions didn't come. But thank you for your participation, staying to the end. We have explored the crucial role that digital leadership plays in driving organizational transformation. And we've also delved into the transformative power of data-driven decision-making and how it is shaping a new leadership paradigm. Now, it is clear that in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape, leadership is no longer just about decision-making. It is about agility, innovation, and also embracing technology to create sustainable growth. Our distinguished speakers have shed light on how leaders must not only adapt, but also inspire change, foster collaboration, and also leverage digital tools to stay ahead in an increasingly competitive world. So I'd like to extend my deepest appreciation to our speakers, Dr. Victor Abbey and Dr. Philip Takyi, for their invaluable insights and thought-provoking presentation. Let me say that your expertise has undoubtedly broadened our understanding on how organizations can harness digital leadership to enhance efficiency, improve customer experience, and also drive long-term success. Now, to our hard-working country director, Dr. Adams, and his team that made this public lecture possible, thank you for your dedication and effort in making this event possible. Your commitment to knowledge sharing and professional development is truly commendable. And finally, to all our esteemed guests, Dr. Adams promised that he will introduce you, but he didn't. But I know you are online. So to all our esteemed guests, your presence here today reflects a shared commitment to learning and growth. And I encourage all of us, honorable colleague members, that the lessons we've learned today from these two experts in this area, we should make sure that we apply them in our respective organization. I believe the future belongs to those who embrace change, and digital leadership will continue to be a driving force in shaping tomorrow's enterprises. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful evening. I hand over to Dr. Adams.
Thank you again, our chair, for such a powerful closing remarks. On this note, I'd also like to introduce the Secretary for NEC, National Executive Council of the Institute, Dr. Genevieve Obobi Duncan, or Duncan Obobi. If you are with us, any words from you? Dr. Obobi? Okay. So on this note, as we have always been doing, we'd like you to put on your video, so we could take a group picture. You put on your video, we'll take a group picture. If you yes, put on your video, we'll take a group picture of the video. Yes, put on the video, we'll take a group picture. Okay, Mr. Nim, do you have any question, or you were putting on? Okay, so put on your video, we'll take a group picture. Put on your video. Yes, put on your video for a group picture. Okay, yes. Prof. Nefia, we can see you. Yes, you put on your video. Yes, Honorable Dr. Maurice Jonas Wood, we can see you. Dr. Elizabeth Ampao. Yes, so on this note, we'll say a very good evening and bye-bye. Bye-bye. Kindly check our WhatsApp platform for more information on upcoming training. And when we share the slides, the flyers, kindly share and get people to also join us in Kumasi for such a powerful presentation. So we'll say bye-bye. So bye-bye, everyone. You can also unmute, say bye-bye. Okay, sure. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Director.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.